All right, Jai, stay on with me. I have Shruti Dasgupta, Foreign Affairs expert, joining me on the broadcast. Now, Shruti, there's no definitive explanation yet, neither from the Venezuelan government or from the US Department of Defense. What would you like to say on that?
Well, that is why we are still in the gray zone of why we cannot call this a US strike, though I do suspect it is going to be so, because we just heard of yesterday's strike on the ports of Venezuela to kind of hobble the nation that is already under blockade and a maritime blockade by USA, and is also suffering threats of by Trump by asking Maduro to quietly and peacefully resign, or else something major will happen. CIA has already been authorized to run covert and overt operations on ground inside that nation. So whether these strikes are done directly by USA or they are orchestrated via CIA channels and that arm the internal resistance to Maduro's regime inside Venezuela is something that we'll have to wait and watch. Venezuela has not responded to the port attacks yesterday as of now. And the message that we'd heard earlier by Maduro was a pre-recorded message that was asking for a sit-down conversation on what USA expects from Venezuela rather than have them dictate terms across media bites and channels and threats. So I do not know how this is going to go forth, but it just shows that probably USA's, and we know that they had a national security document come out in the last month of 2025, and that completely stated that USA needs to focus on the Americas, that is the North and the South Americas, and USA needs to control the economy and the policy of these nations there. We've seen interference in Honduras elections. We are seeing what they're doing with Venezuela. This is the Trump regime's way of ensuring that USA stays relevant in the multipolar world of today. And Venezuela is going to be their very first target of that. This might be a regime change operation, very covertly yet overtly done. Whether they claim credit for it or not is in the days to come.
Shruti, please stay on with me. I have Major General Sudhakarji, defense expert, joining me. Major General Sudhakarji, if this is a US military action, what strategic objectives might justify operations directly over Caracas as opposed to continued maritime or air interception operations?
Vaishali, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to your channel by phone up. And all I would say, nothing can justify this action in 21st century. Nothing, simply nothing. No country can ever. If this can be justified, then Putin's invasion into Ukraine also can be justified. Okay, so therefore it brings me to the point that, yes, I was listening to what Shruti had to say. America is changing its doctrine and its strategy. The new National Security Strategy 2025, which has just come out in the last week of November, it is a departure from established pattern of understanding and approach. So departure means, what it implies is that America is pulling back from wherever it can. It is gravitating away from geopolitics to geoeconomics. The focus is on geoeconomics. And third and most important thing is the Monroe Doctrine. Now, what is Monroe Doctrine? That has to be understood. Monroe Doctrine, in simple expression, what it means is that in 1823, when James Monroe was the president of USA, he had achieved some kind of an agreement with Europe or the European countries. As per that agreement, they had come to a commitment that neither the European countries will make any attempt to colonize any of the countries in America, nor will they interfere in the dominance of USA in the Americas, that is North and South America. And third and most important thing is, should they ever try in any form to colonize any of the smaller tiny countries, be it island or otherwise, that would be taken as the detrimental to the interest of USA. Hence, they will take steps to counter it effectively. So this is what broadly, and the last point was they will be operating in the respective sphere of influence. Europe towards the eastern part of Atlantic and America to the western part of Atlantic. So that is the understanding. He's focusing on Monroe because China has made a very deep inroads onto the backyard. Entire Latin America is on the lap of China today. China has invested huge amount of money under the name and heading of BRI, and it is now started focusing on the livelihood of the people of Latin America. Talk about Venezuela, talk about Colombia, talk about any country for that matter, Peru, Chile, Argentina, any country. So therefore, the same South America, which used to be the backyard and in favor of USA and its policies, never, not in the Cold War 1.0, not a single country except for Cuba, to the best of my understanding, was operating against national interest of USA. Today, you have the complete Latin America, the leanings have shifted to China. So this action of Donald Trump basically is pointing towards a pushback, a strategic rivalry. They want to restore their footprint and dominance in Latin America so that the Monroe Doctrine, which they used to enjoy earlier, they are able to restore that or revive that in favor of USA. Back to you.